Financially, what should you be doing right now if you just graduated? I've got my top 5 financial action items you need to do right now. I got that and more coming up. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. All right, did you just graduate, or do you have a family member, child, maybe grandchild that just graduated? If so, what are the most important financial initiatives, action items that you've got to tackle right now so that you ensure you're on track financially? Number 1, and it is not very exciting, but it is foundational. I mean, if you just graduated, then you are starting your life. You are starting your adult life. And therefore, you're starting to build your financial house, if you want that analogy. And how do you start? Well, you put in some skylights. No, you don't. Well, you put in a nice, big master bedroom. No, you don't. You start with the foundation, and you make sure that that foundation is rock solid. And what is that? That's a budget. That is, you've got to start with a budget. Now, obviously, all of these assume that you've got income coming in. So, gosh, my goodness, step 0, the very first step is go out and get some income. Work hard, get some income, develop skills, all that stuff. Put those skills to use in the marketplace, make some income. Once you have that, you've got to build a budget, okay? Done lots of videos on this before, but most budgets are just not adequate. And in fact, almost all of them are not adequate because any system can go out and say, well, here's how much money's coming in, and here's where it's all going, and great. Okay, you've got it categorized. You've got to have a 3 bank account system, okay? That's your budget, okay? Your budget needs to determine, well, how much money's coming in, and then how much is going out, how much needs to be going out for regular monthly expenses, rent, student loans, car payment, something like that, and then Netflix, and then internet, and then going out to eat, and going shopping, and doing fun experiences, those sorts of things, okay? But then your budget also then needs to say, well, how much money do you need to be setting aside every single month for those expenses that are out on the horizon, but they don't happen every single month? Things like going on a trip. I mean, one of the ones in my area that as we meet with younger folks, they say, well, I usually want to go to a couple Cubs games a year, or I want to go see a friend that I just graduated with who, moved down to Florida, took a job down there, something like that. So those expenses are delayed spending. That's what we call it. You determine, all right, how much are all of those expenses that you are going to say yes to that don't happen every single month. Add them all up, divide by 12, and you should be saving that money aside every single month. So this is also where you're going to tackle some big short-term goals, which is common right when you graduate. I want to buy a vehicle, or I want to buy a house, or I want to buy an engagement ring, or something like that. You're going to start setting that money aside because you know you're going to be spending those dollars. You just don't spend them every month. That's where it doesn't fit in a immediate spending, but you're setting that money aside. So those are the first 2 accounts, all right? That's what you need to set up. And typically we recommend that 85% of your take home should be covered in that immediate spending where you're spending it every single month, or your delayed spending, meaning you've earmarked this and you're setting it aside to spend in the future. Where's the other 15% go? Towards goals. So that's the first thing I'd tell you to do is work on that budget and create that budget, all right? What's the second thing that I would tell you to do? Well, it's the 3rd bank account in the 3 bank accounts. I left one out intentionally there. I didn't forget that one, and that is your emergency fund. That's the second thing that I would impress upon you. And you might say right now, well, I just graduated. I don't have a lot of income coming in, so I really can't afford to set money aside and not spend it. I've got things that I want to do or need to do. I know, but inevitably, life's going to throw you a curveball. Guys, apparently, there's a 70% chance that we're going to see a recession at some point in the very near future. That's based on a Wall Street analyst prediction based on what he's seeing today. Now, who knows, right? Everyone's got opinions. So who knows? But if that happens, then you can't afford not to build up an emergency fund because you're brand new into the workforce. You don't have a ton of experience, ton of skills, and therefore you're razor thin, close to the edge, that you could have a disruption in your income. So you've got to start building that emergency fund. Dave Ramsey tells you start with $1,000 and then eventually build that up to 3 to 6 months of your lifestyle or 3 to 6 months of your income. Yeah, that's the second most important thing that you need to do. Third most important thing, and it could be the second most depending on your situation, okay, is to aggressively pay off debt. Now, hopefully you're lucky and you've made it through and graduated without any debt. I would say that's more uncommon than otherwise. So build a debt payment plan. Don't let debt take up a permanent residence in your financial life. Read an article recently that said 12 years later, on average, the person with student loans that still has them 12 years later, the balance is even higher than when they graduated because they're not even making enough payment to get that thing to even pay all the interest. That is shocking. That is shocking to me, right? And we obviously know we've got a student loan problem, and I'm not going to get into all that. We'll probably do a video on it coming up. But listen, whether it's student loan debt or whether it's car loan debt or whether it's credit card debt, I don't really care. Don't let debt don't get comfortable with it hanging around. It's like, just don't, okay? Build an aggressive plan to get rid of that debt. And here's why. Because you've got big, important financial goals. They might not seem crystal clear right now because you just graduated, you're starting your life, but at some point you're going to want to buy a house. At some point you're going to want to get married and have kids, and those kids are going to want to do fun things, and you're going to want to do fun things. Money that you have going towards debt is not able to go towards those fun things. Get rid of that debt so you are unencumbered and you can use as much of your income as possible to go after the things you really want to do, not the debt that's still hanging around. Fourth thing that I would tell you to do if you just graduated is start from your very first paycheck saving 15% towards retirement. Wait, you told me I needed a budget and then I need to start saving money into an emergency fund and get aggressive on debt. Yep, you also need to start saving for retirement. Yes, you got to do all those things. I truly would. You're not going to regret it. In fact, right now with all the market turbulence, you might be investing at some really, really ideal times. Fantastic. Build this habit, start this habit, because the number one phrase that we hear in our office is, I wish I'd have started sooner. I wish I would have started sooner. When you finally sit down and build out that 5-factor retirement plan somewhere in your 40s, maybe 50s, you don't want to say that phrase. I wish I'd have started sooner. Start with 15% right now from your very first paycheck. Build that habit, start that now, and you'll thank me later. And then finally, your fifth action item, if you just graduated, again, this is predicated on you having income, having a job, open a Roth IRA. Open a Roth IRA. And yes, I told you save 15% towards retirement, and likely that should be into the Roth side because your income is low right now and you want this money to grow tax-free forever. But I would also tell you, just open a Roth IRA. Just open a Roth IRA. If you don't have a retirement account through your employer, then you'll be funding that Roth IRA. Even if you do, hopefully you've got pennies from heaven or extra dollars that kind of land in your lap because you got a surprise tax refund or you got a bonus that you weren't expecting or something. And when you have that Roth IRA already open, you're starting your 5-year clock. I'm not going to get into all that, but you also, it's just convenient for you to say, oh, wow, I just found $500. Let's put $500 in my Roth, right? And because of the Roth, the ability for that to grow tax deferred and come out tax free in the future, just have that Roth IRA open as one of your first things that you do when you graduate. Those are my top 5. Now, I don't know your circumstance, okay? Work with a certified financial planner. If you don't have one because you just graduated and maybe it's too expensive to get one, something like that, talk to mom and dad's financial planner. Talk to mom and dad's CFP. Start listening to the Wise Money stuff. Start listening to Dave Ramsey. Get motivated about your finances, but start with these 5 that will get you on the right track. And hopefully you can work with a certified financial planner soon to make sure you make any adjustments or add on anything unique specific for your situation. All right? Work with your CFP. Make sure they're certified. Make sure that they are doing comprehensive financial planning. If you don't have one like that on your team, you can contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with a K. WiseMoneyShow.com. You can find us there as well, or give us a call, 574-247-5898. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.